Ancient ruins stand silent and still in the cold vacuum of space, a sober reminder of times long since past. Welcome, pilots! This is the second part of a series that takes a deep dive discussing traditional hacking exploration sites in EVE Online. In this video, I'll be focusing on Pirate Faction Relic sites, revealing my loot statistics and comparing it to mission salvaging for the purpose of manufacturing rigs. If you're new to running hacking sites, you might be interested in the first part of this series, where I introduce exploring with probe scanners. In high-security space, you can find 8 unique relic sites, with each of these having its own slight variation based on Pirate Faction. These sites range in scanning difficulty from level 1 through level 4, with the highest level sites offering more hacking containers. Most of the containers are named debris, though the level 4 sites each include a single container named rubble. You can fail to hack on these containers only once. If you fail a second time, the container will explode, its contents forever lost. The majority of the loot you'll find in Pirate Faction relic sites is found under the market category of salvage materials. You can also find metal scraps, which can be reprocessed into tritanium, the primary mineral in manufacturing ships and modules. Or spatial attunement units, one of the components used in manufacturing scanning upgrade modules. Containers can also drop carbon, which can be sold for a very small amount to NPC orders. For the purpose of this video, if a container only drops carbon, I consider it to be effectively empty. To gather my loot statistics, I ran 100 high-security relic sites for each of the 5 major pirate factions. This table shows the minimum, maximum, and average number of each type of item that can drop in relic site containers. The type of container is what determines how many items can drop, rather than the scanning difficulty of the site. The ISK value of each type of salvage material will vary over time, based on the overall player demand. At the time I'm recording this in 2023, contaminated Lorentz fluid is the highest value Tech 1 salvage, while intact armor plates are by far the highest value Tech 2 salvage. On average, most debris containers will drop a single stack of salvage materials, though it's possible to drop as many as 5 stacks of items. The Pirate Faction determines the types of salvage materials you can find, though many items are common throughout all factions. These tables show the total number of salvage materials I found for each Pirate Faction, starting with the Angel Cartel. The salvage unique to the Angels include the alloyed tritanium bar, smash trigger unit, and thruster console. Moving along to the Blood Raiders, whose unique salvage includes the melted capacitor console and tangled power conduit. The Guristas, whose unique salvage includes the malfunctioning shield emitter, scorched telemetry processor, and ward console. Sanchez Nation, whose unique salvage includes armor plates, contaminated nanite compound, and defective current pump. And the Serpentis, whose unique salvage includes the broken drone transceiver, conductive polymer, and contaminated Lorentz fluid. Oddly, Serpentis relic containers can also drop malfunctioning shield emitters, which I've often wondered could have been an oversight in the loot tables. And this final table, available on my website, shows the total number of salvage materials across all 500 relic sites I ran. While I only gathered statistics in high-security space, you can extrapolate these stats to low-security or null-security space. Relic sites in dangerous space also feature containers named Remains, which can drop much larger bundles of salvage materials. Or Ruins, which only drop bundles of Tech 2 salvage materials. An alternative to obtaining salvage materials involves salvaging NPC wrecks, either from missions, combat sites, or even belt rats. The ship size and tech level of each shipwreck determines the average amount of salvage you can acquire. While it's certainly the case that larger shipwrecks drop much more salvage, a dedicated salvaging ship will still find value in salvaging all wrecks. It's common for mission runners to make use of a mobile tractor unit, bookmark its location, and then come back in a ship like the Noctis to salvage every wreck. Younger players looking to manufacture rigs for frigates or destroyers will easily find everything they need running high-security relic sites. But as you upgrade to flying cruisers, and eventually battleships, you'll find that running level 4 missions is a much more efficient approach. In general, many explorers eventually ignore high-security relic sites altogether in favor of other activities. Data sites and combat sites are both much more lucrative. though relic sites do improve drastically outside of high security space. For those interested in manufacturing rigs, this table shows which pirate factions to focus on based on the type of rig you want to produce. The Angel Cartel drop salvage for astronautic and projectile weapon rigs. The Blood Raiders drop salvage for engineering rigs. The Gristas drop salvage for missile launcher and shield rigs. The Sanchez Nation drop salvage for armor and energy weapon rigs. And the Serpentis drop salvage for drone and hybrid weapon rigs. Manufacturing Tech 1 rigs is fairly straightforward. You can buy blueprint originals for any Tech 1 rig from NPC corporations. The process for manufacturing Tech 2 rigs is a little more complicated, requiring you to go through a process known as invention. This process requires items that can be found in pirate faction data sites, so I'll wait to explain it until the next part of this series, where I'll be covering data sites. I've added a companion hacking sites guide to my website over at RileyEntertainment.com, which now includes a page detailing the loot statistics covered in this video. You can also find my comprehensive set of video guides for high-security combat sites, covering all 5 major pirate factions, along with my ship-fitting guides that are geared towards running combat sites. Stay tuned to Riley Entertainment and smash that like button if you enjoy my content.